Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
So I'm just going to talk about, I'm going to see if I can persuade you guys to maybe think about being vegetarian. Okay, so although they weren't the first vegetarians, the first vegetarian society started in England in 1847, and the reason they had started the reason they had started was to prove that they can be healthy without eating meat, that they could still have the same health benefits and everything without meat. And they proved their point, and they also showed that they can help the environment, help animals, and even the studies have shown that, let's see, I'm shaking, that
Relax.
that it can even potentially end world hunger, because so you have bad, you guys see it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know becoming vegetarian isn't easy because many people love meat. I love meat, even though I'm a vegetarian. I had to quit, had to give it up, and I did it for my own reasons, because it can help your health, help the environment. Again, save animals. I'm a big animal person. So I know how hard it is, but the benefits are worth giving it up. So according to goeo.org, if the U.S. didn't eat meat for only one day, just one day, everybody just stopped eating meat in the U.S., it could save 70 million gallons of gas, 100 billion gallons of water, 1.5 billion pounds of crop, 1 million acres of land, and 33 tons of antibiotics. That's just one day if everybody in just the U.S. didn't eat meat. Save all those things. And then if everybody were to stop eating meat and cheese for one day a week for a year, it would be like taking 7.6 million cars off the road. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then if you just cut out meat, so without the actual byproducts like cheese and milk and stuff, it'd be like taking 5 million cars off the road. Still a lot. According to the United Nations, in 2006 they made a report that the animals used for meat, so the livestock that is used for meat and milk and cheese and all those byproducts, cause more greenhouse gases than all of the motorized vehicles in the whole entire world. It causes more greenhouse gases, which is affecting how the climate is working and climate change. Animal agriculture is the main reason that there's so much water pollution due to the chemicals and the runoff from the animals, excrement, which is bodily functions from the animals, and it's affecting approximately 173,000 miles of rivers and streams. It's also the main reason for a lot of species extinction and deforestation, because they have to make the land available for the livestock, and then they kill the predators that come after the farm animals used in the factories, and then the pesticides and the chemicals that they use in the meat and in the grain that they use to feed the animals run off into the plants and waters and stuff that animals outside of the farm eat and drink. So it affects them, killing them off and causing their digestive system to fail. And think about that because we're eating the same thing that the animals outside of the farm are being affected by. So animals and their byproducts use about approximately 34 to 76 trillion gallons of water every year for the grain and the animals. So the food and the animals themselves take about that much water. It takes 2,500 gallons of water for 1 pound of meat. It takes 477 gallons of water for a pound of eggs, 900 gallons of water for 1 pound of cheese, and 1,000 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of milk. Or 1,000 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of milk. Yeah. And then, okay, so you know how there's children in the world, or people in general, that are starving. Like, children are starving to death, like you see them on the commercials. 82% of the children that are starving live in the countries that use their grain to feed the animals that end up being turned into meat for the Western countries. Not even for their own countries, but for the countries like us. So those children are starving to feed us meat that we don't really need. Because the vegetables and the soy and all that has all the nutrients that we need that meat has, but meat is worse for you because it has cholesterol and it has the antibiotics and pesticides and all that. So if we didn't have all the livestock that we have, it could potentially end world hunger. It wouldn't be a problem. 500,000 animals are killed per hour in the U.S. and over 6 million killed worldwide. That's per hour. And a lot of them are still alive when they're either boiled, put into a grinding machine, which is usually for chickens, and then they're put into machines when the feathers are plucked off. Like, there's a special machine that spins around and it takes all the feathers and, fur and stuff off of chickens. And a lot of them are still alive when this happens, putting them through extreme pain and torment. And animals have feelings, believe it or not. I've seen a lot of videos where cows or pigs, when they're newborn babies are taken away from them, cows and other animals, they make sounds where you know that they're upset, and they're getting upset over their their babies taken away from them. And cows, which live for normally in the wild, for about 20 years or so, or being treated and eating what they should be and not given the antibiotics that they're given, live about 20 years, whereas in factory farms they live about 5, because by the time that they're 5, they're about worn out because of all the milk and babies that they've had. They can't really produce anymore, and they've been given so many of the chemicals and antibiotics that are put into them that it just makes them too big and too stressed out, and they start getting, sicker. So they're killed at about 5, and eventually, and used for meat at that point, after they've done all that they can for the milk and the cheese products and all that. So if helping the environment, potentially ending world hunger, or saving animals isn't really something that could convince you to, change your diet, which, those are some pretty big things, maybe even your own health. So the leading cause of death in the U.S. is heart disease. And heart disease is, a big contributor of heart disease is cholesterol and being overweight. That being said, vegetarians or vegans, which vegans eat no meat, no cheese, no milk, nothing that can come from an animal. Whereas vegetarians still drink milk and they'll eat cheese and stuff like that. So vegetarians and vegans don't eat the cholesterol or the animal fat that's put into all the other foods that meat eaters eat. So they don't gain the weight. They have a less chance of getting heart diseases or cancers or just other diseases that can be caused by meat, because they're not eating the chemicals and the animals that have been affected by all these products. So they're thinner and they're healthier. They're eating less calories and more fiber. I know I keep kind of repeating it. So Michael Roizen is a writer, and he wrote a book called The Real Age Diet said that switching from the American diet, which is, a lot of meat a lot of the time, switching from that to a vegetarian diet can actually add 13 years to your life, because your arteries aren't getting clogged by the meat, and your immune system is running the way that it should be, which can be affected by meat. Changing your diet can also actually ease symptoms of menopause. So for women, when we get to that age, it can ease those symptoms because there's a chemical that we produce that vegetables and switching to that diet will even out, so the symptoms won't be as bad or as stressful. And like a lot of vegetarians eat chicken or fish still because it's not like red meat, and they think that they're still getting the proteins and that it's not as bad. But which actually kind of goes in with another project I've been doing. But fish actually have been found to have these chemicals called PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls, something like that, which have also been found in whales, which has been killing them off and keeping them from reproducing as much as they should be. So there's a risk of killer whales being actually extinct in the future because of these PCBs. And when the whales give birth, and if they have these chemicals in them, their children have, their little calves have them as well.
Where do these come from? These PCBs, do you know?
They're actually, it was back in 50-something years ago, where they were banned, and it came from the new industrializations and buildings being put up and plastics and stuff like that, and they were actually banned, but because the runoff from back then is still kind of happening, it still affects the water, it's affected the plants, and it's affected the animals, and since the animals can't get rid of it, it just keeps going into the next generation. And so when you eat the fish, and it's in the fish, then it can't be getting rid of, it can't be gone because you boil or something. You can't just cook the PCBs out of the fish. So when you eat it, you're eating those chemicals that are killing the whales. So if you can live a better and longer life by being healthy, helping others, from keeping them from starving, helping the environment and saving animals, why not go vegetarian? Don't let meat be the reason that our world becomes uninhabitable, or don't let it be the reason that we don't live to the age that we should be living. The end. Okay.
Good job.
You want